Welcome to the Let's Get Vulnerable podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Morgan, and today's episode is really focused on self worth. This does not get talked about enough, and this is at the core of everything that we do. So let's dive in. Let's talk about self worth. Let's talk about the things that can really damage your self worth. Why I think so many of us need to really rebuild it from the ground up. And I'll even talk to you about some of my own experiences and my own journey of how I rebuilt my self-worth after dating a narcissist. Okay. And I do want to mention, if you didn't know already, this is your last opportunity to join the Empowered.Secure.Loved program as is. I'm revamping it. I'm changing some things behind the scenes. And this format is so powerful. If you have been on the fence, this is the time to join. I really want to encourage you. If you're wanting the one-on-one high support, this is the time to join the program. All you have to do, go to the link in the show notes. It takes 5 minutes to apply, and I cannot wait to see you inside the program. So moving on, today's episode about self-worth, let me tell you this. Growing up, as many of us have, I had so many beliefs about why I wasn't good enough and why other people deserved love, but I didn't, and why relationships got to be easy for other people, but not easy for me, and why I would always be abandoned. And I had all of these beliefs that were shaping my relationship decisions, the people who were attracted to me, the people who I was attracted to. I've had that for decades before I really was able to rebuild my self-worth. And let me tell you that the things that shaped my beliefs were out of my control. It was things that happened to me. It was my environment, right? None of us are born and then decide, let me make sure that I have really low self-worth and that I devalue myself and self-abandoned and focus on people pleasing because other people matter more than I do. None of us intentionally create that. We are the product of what happens to us, and then how we decide to cope with it is the key word here. How you decide to cope with it, right? And growing up, I was the chubby girl in grade school, I'm going all the way back, y'all. We're talking kindergarten, first grade, young. I had glasses and they were incredibly thick. I had to have them kind of it wasn't like taped, but there was why can't I think of this? Like a band that held them on to my head because I had to have them on. At one point, I had to wear an eye patch because I had astigmatism. I was not someone who was popular, liked, even included by the quote unquote popular kids. And I remember that even from being very young. I remember I liked hanging out with the boys at recess and building mud balls. And I was not the cute girly girl. In high school, I certainly was not in the cheerleader or popular girl crowd. I had so many beliefs about me just being weird, about not fitting in. I just kind of assumed that I was a burden and people didn't really like me and that there was so many things that were wrong with me. Then throw in there, I had horrible cystic acne. I look at my skin now and I'm like, wow, this is total transformation. And I think that a lot of it was releasing trauma, honestly. But I mean, I had horrible skin, there was just acne all over. Definitely had very different features than most people in my town. I mean, I've always had these crazy thick black eyebrows and black hair. So it felt very different in that way. And I was just a very introspective, nerdy girl. And I like to have really deep conversations. And I loved poetry and I loved reading everything by J.D. Salinger and all of anything that made me think really deeply about life. I loved philosophy. So where's this going? I did not fit in. And what did that make me think? It made me think there was something wrong with me. And then throw in there that my mom had an accident when I was 6 years old and she was suddenly taken from me. As a 6-year-old, internalized that experience that I was being abandoned, and I was being abandoned because something was wrong with me. It took me a long time to realize that unconsciously that is how my brain had interpreted it. But that's what I thought, that there was something wrong with me, that I had done something wrong, that I wasn't good enough in some way, and that I was abandoned by my mom because of something being wrong with me. So you think about all this, and then let's go into, okay, fast forward, graduate school. I'm getting my doctorate in clinical psychology. I'm overachieving because I'm a nerd. I'm smart. I like to learn. Okay. I love books. I'm like reading everything. I'm overachieving as much as I can. I'm finding my identity in graduate school. And what happens? My second year of graduate school, I find myself in a relationship with a narcissist. And I was a perfect candidate for this person. The love bombing that he gave me felt like a drug that I had been craving my entire life that I didn't even know existed. And the way that he made me feel so loved and feel like a princess, and he brought me into his family. This was a wound that I had, a broken family, that I didn't want people to even know what I had experienced as a child because it just felt weird and broken. And then this man comes into my life, treats me like a princess, brings me into his family, giving me all of these gifts, showering me with I love yous from date number 3. And I was hooked. Once again, it was like a drug. It was a drug. And I experienced about 6 months of love bombing, of being flown around, being taken out to all the nice dinners, being told that I was incredible and that he couldn't wait for me to be the mother of his children. And just imagine all of the positive things that someone you're dating could say to you. And I experienced that with him. And what happened was it slowly started to change, right? The narcissist cycle. What happens? We go through being put on the pedestal, being very propped up and like we can do nothing wrong, and we have the love bombing. But then we start to experience the devaluing, the devaluing. And that started for me. I remember the day, I can picture it. It was a summer day, Portland, Pearl District, his apartment, and I had put my hair in a ponytail. And he said, "Your hair looks so much better down. Don't wear it like that. You don't look good with a ponytail." And mind you, this was like the first negative thing he had said to me. And I just remember thinking, whoa, what was that? And that was the beginning of the devaluing of who I was, of tearing me down, and the insults, the emotional abuse that I experienced. It got worse and worse and worse. And it went from, I don't like when you wear your hair in a ponytail, to, you're so ugly, you know that nobody could love me except for you, or except for me. No one will love you except for me. You are like a fat whale and you've gained so much weight. And oh my God, you need to lose at least 75 pounds. And he knew that my weight was an insecurity, and that was something that he used against me. And other things like, you have such horrible judgment. I can't believe your taste in friends. Your friends are terrible. How could you even be friends with these people? You make such bad decisions. From now on, you need to consult with me when deciding who to spend time with. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but he continuously tore me down. And this completely shattered me. Right? It completely shattered me. I had low self-worth before entering the relationship. And then once again, I had that magical period of feeling like everything was going to be great. And I had found my Prince Charming, and all of my childhood trauma would be solved because this man loved me and wanted to be with me. So I had that magical period. But then as I was going through a year of emotional abuse and the deterioration of our relationship, it was so much pain. It was so much pain. And it was this feeling of, I just have to get back to how it was. And this is what's hard about narcissistic abuse, is that it's intermittent reinforcement. You never know what version of the person you're going to get, because even as things were deteriorating, there was still moments where the old version of him was present, and I felt like a princess, and I felt so loved and adored and included in the family and all the things, right? And I just kept holding on because of low self-worth, because of childhood trauma, because of my disorganized attachment style. I stayed in the relationship and I kept wanting it to just get back to how it was. And I've shared this story many times in other episodes. I got to the point where I hit absolute rock bottom after a near death experience. And this was a situation where he was threatening to drive us off of a bridge, and he was intoxicated and using drugs and pushed me into the vehicle and started driving away. But thank God there was a witness, there was an intervention, and he was not able to drive us off of a bridge. And who knows, right, if that's what he would have done. But I can tell you in those moments as it was happening, it was that perceived, I'm going to die. I really felt in my body that this was it, that this was how my story was going to end. And it was enough to shake me. It was enough for me to go, I can't live like this. I can't keep going down this path. This is not going to end well. And I was sitting in the lobby of my apartment complex in Portland, and I couldn't move. And I was on the ground crying in so much emotional pain, filling out a police report. And there was people walking by, and they were giving me these looks, my neighbors giving me these looks of pity, feeling sorry for me. And I had this out of body experience of, who is this person who's sitting here on this floor? This is not me. This is not how my life is supposed to go. And I really had this spiritual experience. It felt, I've had this 2 times in my life, and this was one of them. This was the first time where I felt like I had 2 paths. I could go down the side of the light, which I could visually see, walking down the healing path, leaving the relationship, trying to get better, trying to heal my heart, or I could go down the dark path. I could spiral more. I could drink more. I could stay in the relationship and continue to hurt myself. And in that moment, I chose the light. I chose the light. And I believe it was with the help of my guardian angels. And I, after that time, obviously threw myself into understanding how do you have a healthy relationship, threw myself into researching attachment theory and understanding how to heal and how do you let go of past trauma. And that's what has led us to where we are today. But the thing I want to talk to you about is this. How did I rebuild my self-worth after it was completely gone after that relationship? And here's the thing. I had to, number one, admit that I had a ton of lies that I was believing about myself. I remember the moment that clicked for me. I was like walking around in nature, I think it was Forest Park, all these Portland references. We have any Portland listeners? I had a lot of trauma in Portland, okay? But I've since repaired my relationship to Portland. It's a lovely city. We love the food there. Okay, I can definitely go and have a good time. Powell's Books, you know. But I remember I was in Forest Park and I had this moment of going, oh my God, I am believing so many lies about myself. It's all of these lies that I was fed from my childhood trauma and from this past relationship, and I'm believing them as if they are true. Things, small things, even things like your friends don't actually like you and they're just hanging out with you just because, you know, like there was a million little lies that I had internalized because of the emotional abuse. And what I had to start doing is every time I had a thought about myself, I had to be really curious and say, is that based in reality or is that based in your trauma or a lie that you were made to believe? And I want to encourage you, if you're listening to this and you're going, oh my God, I don't have high self-worth, start there. Start asking yourself, am I believing things that are based in reality or am I believing things that are based in trauma, based in past hurtful relationships, hurt people, things that hurt people did to me? Am I believing the truth or am I believing things that have a foundation in trauma, right? And I want you to just start asking yourself that question. So that was number one. That's what I'd want you to think about. How can you start questioning the things that you believe about yourself? Number two, your behaviors, your habits, the way you show up in your life, it is a reflection of the standards you have and the way that you see yourself, right? Your self-love is created by your ability to keep the promises that you make to yourself. And if your habits and your routines and the way that you spend your time, your most valuable asset, your time, if it doesn't match up with someone who loves themselves, then how can your brain think that you love yourself? It can't. So there's the beliefs and then there's the behaviors. If somebody watched a movie of your life, of your day to day, and they saw the way you were showing up, the way that you were treating yourself, the way you were spending your time, would they see it and they would go, "Oh, yeah, that's someone who loves themselves"? Or would they say, whoa, that's a people pleasing, self abandoning, insecure person? Real talk. I want you to ask yourself, what would they say if they watched a movie of your life? Your behaviors, the way you spend your time, it has to match up with someone who values themselves, who loves themselves. And then this next piece on how I rebuilt my self-worth, I had to very, very, very intentionally revisit my past trauma and approach it from a new place. Approach it from the emotionally available adult who was no longer depending on the approval of her caregivers for survival, from the emotionally available adult who had the ability to handle big emotions and process through things and feel things, right? This piece is so key, and I don't recommend doing this alone. I'm really fortunate in that I've had incredible mentors. I've had a lot of incredible coaching. I've had a ton of support, right? And I recommend the same thing for you. You need to have support in doing this piece, really all of it, but that piece especially. And then the next thing, besides beliefs, behaviors, revisiting past trauma, the next thing I think that really helped me with self-worth is being able to get clear on the vision that I had for my life and what I knew that I deserved, and seeing really clearly that highest and best self, the securely attached identity, the Dr. Morgan that you all see today. I had to see her. I had to see her when she was not there, right? I had to connect to that version of me. And that's why identity work is so important, right? Building out your morning alignment is what I have my clients do, connecting to the vision you have for your life, where not only it's in your brain on a logical level, but you feel it in your cells and in your nervous system. You embody it. You can feel into that version of you, right? And I had to do that. All of these things combined, and time and support. And I want to throw in one final thing, and this is not going to resonate for everybody, but this might resonate for some of you. So if it works for you, awesome. If it doesn't, just leave it. You don't need to even think about it. But for me, building a relationship with a higher power, getting back to a spiritual place, building a relationship with God, a prayer practice, the ability to surrender and to think about the way that I don't have to know it all. That things are so much bigger than even my understanding, and that I can surrender to a higher power, and that I can trust that everything is happening as it's meant to happen, and that I was designed in God's image, and I was designed in a way where the desires that are placed on my heart, they're placed there for a reason. And I have to do my work so that I don't take in the negative beliefs, the negative energy, the things around me, then the people around me that maybe want me to stay small or that aren't comfortable with me taking up space. And I have to do my best to know that my identity in God and my ability to follow my true identity, that's my most important work, is to stay true to who I really am and to who I'm really truly designed to be, and to drown out any of the noise that says otherwise, right? So I also believe in healing my self-worth. My spiritual identity has been a big part of that, and learning to connect to a higher power. Because I think for me, when you can accept God's love from a higher power, you learn how to also love yourself that way. We never can love ourselves as much as God loves us, but we could try and we can start to try to show that love to others, but to really feel unconditional love. There's other things I could say, but these are some of the key pieces. If you are rebuilding your self-worth, these are the things I would want you to think about. Okay. I hope this episode was helpful to you. This was a vulnerable one. I wasn't really expecting to go that deep into my story. If you or anybody that you love has experienced emotional abuse or narcissistic abuse, my heart goes out to you. I get it. I know how hard it is to rebuild. I want you to remember that you are not your experiences and that you have to forgive yourself. You were doing the best that you could at the time with what you knew. When we know better, we do better. And that if you're in a relationship, God forbid you're in a relationship right now that is emotionally abusive, I want you to just work on loving yourself so much, doing a lot of these things that we're talking about. And then I promise you, when you start to love yourself more, as you heal more, it actually gets so much easier to leave a relationship too. So, I don't wish that everybody has to go through rock bottom like I did. Ideally, you can heal enough that you can start to make really good relationship decisions without having to hit rock bottom. Okay. But I'm sending you so much love. Thanks for being on this journey with me. And I just really appreciate each one of you. I feel like we're entering into a new era of Let's Get Vulnerable. And you all have always grown with me as I've grown. And it means the world. It really means the world. So thank you. Share this episode with someone if you think they need it. Okay. If somebody's going through some stuff and they're really working on healing themselves, maybe they just got out of a tough relationship, they probably need this episode. Okay. So don't be afraid to share it with someone who might need it. And don't forget, if you need to do the work yourself and it's time to rewire your brain for healthy love, this is your last chance. Go apply to the Empowered.Secure.Loved program. We do have limited spots. They're going really quickly. Don't miss out. It takes about 5 minutes to fill out the application, and the link is in the show notes. All right, y'all. I am sending you so much love. And of course, as always, I'm wishing you high self-worth and great relationships. I'll talk to you soon.